Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GBYWN Australia Podcast. I am your host, as usual, Aston Crude. And here today, we've got none other than a GBYWN Hall of Famer, former WZWA Heavyweight Champion, ICWS Hardcore Champion, Tag Team Champion. This guy's done a hell of a lot in the backyard, and he's got a hell of a lot more to accomplish as it stands right now in the ICWS as the general manager, and who knows in the future for WCWA. I'm talking about the Suburban Nightmare, Dark Ice. Welcome.
It is me, Dark Ice. Nah, I'm not going to infringe on anyone's copyright gimmicks. How you going?
Yeah, good mate, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, eh? Not too shabby at all.
We've only been spending all day together, so it's good to get the pleasantries out the way.
Yeah,
I am going well, and it's always great to be here doing the podcast for the GBYWN Australia Podcast. And here today, Ice, this is part one. So this is mainly we're going to be covering ICWS.
Yeah.
From your humble beginnings in ICWS all up until today.
Awesome.
So before we even get there, though, I want to know about, when did you first get into wrestling? How did you get into it?
Well, basically, wrestling came into my life in about 2004. I discovered wrestling on telly, and it was just one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen. Obviously, back then, I was 12.
Yeah.
So I was skeptical whether it was real or not after seeing UFC and other things like that previous. Yeah. It just went from there. My dad saw a show in Burswood in Perth.
Yeah.
Decided to take me, and after seeing the live performance, I was just hooked, completely hooked.
Yeah. So did you get into the video games and all that, or?
Honestly, I didn't know there were such video games out. I was hoping, of course, and then taking a trip with the rents down to a place called EB Games.
Yeah.
I discovered that there were wrestling games out there, and a vast variety of them actually.
Yes.
And I just, if I was old enough to get a chub, I would have had one right there and then.
Well, excellent. Okay, so you've become a wrestling fan. Was there ever a time before you ever did any backyard wrestling where you thought to yourself, "Oh, wish I had a couple of mates we could just have a fucking bit of a wrestle or whatever"?
Yes, actually. Always, as soon as I first saw it, I knew, I wanted to get into that. I wanted to do that because it was just absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
But I honestly never thought I would ever get into it. I didn't know that there were federations in Perth that did it at the time either. EPW, of course, were doing that at the time for 4 years already.
Yeah.
Had no knowledge of them.
Yeah.
And had no knowledge that backyard wrestling was actually a thing. So that tickled me a little bit when I found that out.
Interesting. All right, so I guess the years go by, and tell us about how long have you known Chaos for at this point when you've got into wrestling? Did you already know him?
No, actually, I met Chaos in grade 9 in high school. I actually had brought some of the Divas porn to school, and showing off to all the boys and whatnot, and someone actually pointed out and say, "Hey, that guy down there, he likes wrestling." I was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "He might like those pictures." So I approached him. I was like, "Hey man, I heard you like wrestling." He goes, "Yeah, I do." And I was just thinking, I was like, "Do you like the Divas?" He goes, "I sure do."
Yeah.
So I got something to show you, man. And it just from there is where we kicked off.
Really? I've never heard that story.
That same day, I went back to his house after talking to the parents and getting approval. Went back to his house, and we had a death match in the pool.
Excellent. Wow, so the first day you guys met, you had a match.
Yes.
That is insane. That is the definition of real, wrestling, best friends. Awesome. I had no idea about that story. It's really cool. thing to know. How long after meeting him did you guys decide let's start our own little backyard wrestling group?
Well, we pretty much were our own little backyard wrestling group because we had another bunch of friends that were with us all the time, and we always messed around in the pool or on the floor, places like that. And it was only until we set the fucking mattress and carpet on fire and I speared him into it that we decided we should do it for real.
Ah.
So yeah,
Hello.
we came up with a few names. This was 2007 when we first met. We were doing all this shit. In 2009, we'd met guys like Dan Zeppelin, Daniel Johnston, MC Cruel, and a few others who decided they wanted to help us out because they, of course, had already started UWF, or currently known as ICWS.
Yes.
So it was a pleasure meeting those boys at school as well. Me and Cass decided, you know what, fuck it. Let's do our own thing.
Okay.
We didn't have many resources or anything like that, so we just,
Quite bare bones backyard wrestling.
Yes, and no moves in our arsenal, so it was quite hurtful to watch. Quite painful to sit through.
So how do you come up with the name SBWS?
I honestly, I cannot tell you. I cannot remember how the name came up. All I know is the Suburban part came up because we were in the suburbs.
Gotcha. Well, that's quite simple. Okay, let's talk a little bit about SBWS. You did 2 shows.
Yep.
Hardcore Beginning.
Yes. The first one.
So, okay, how was that? How was that first show, that first day of wrestling?
Nerve-wracking, actually. Never had a camera on us before. Knowing the video would actually appear on YouTube, that actually felt like so much pressure was on us to do a good job. So we had this match planned out. Or call it a match, but we had this spot fest planned, really.
Yeah.
And we started the show with MC Cruel versus Dan Zeppelin, who were really keen to do it, to help us out. SPWS being no rules in any match, so ECW-esque, so you could say.
Yeah.
They started off, they hitting all these moves, and they wowed us. They really wowed us. So there was a lot of pressure. Us in the main event, as we put ourselves, to try and top it, and quite honestly, I don't think we did. As all we did was just smash the fuck out of each other with weapons the whole time.
Yep.
Running down to the park, continuing down there, trying to evade security at the same time. It was just great.
Excellent.
It was fun.
Okay, so after that, how long after that do you have the second show?
It was 1 month, exactly 1 month later.
Okay.
The first show was in November, the second show was in December of 2009.
Which is Crash Course.
Crash Course, that's correct. By that point, we had a few more of the ICWS guys who were keen to come in and do some hardcore stuff with us.
Yep.
Myself and Chaos had thrown a few more moves in our arsenals as well.
Yep.
Just made that show a bit extra special. And the introduction to the SPWS Championship as well.
Ah.
So we had a tourney that day to crown the first ever champion, who ended up being Chaos, who defeated Wicked Nick James in the final.
Really? Wow. I really would love to see that footage. That's Wicked Nick James got to the final.
He did. Unfortunately, all the footage from those shows has been lost.
Oh, just those 2 music videos that you got.
It's just the music videos on YouTube. That's all that's left.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately.
So, when you've had Crash Course and Hardcore Beginning, had you guys invaded ICWS yet?
No. We never intended on invading. We were happy just to keep separate from those guys and have them come to us every now and then, because we didn't really know much about them. We hadn't even seen anything of them, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so those boys would come to us, but then some situations popped up. Won't go into detail, but basically we couldn't have SPWS anymore at the place we're at.
Okay.
And the moving of the arena, so to speak, just did not have the room, nor did it have the travel capabilities of the others to come to us. So
okay,
SPWS pretty much stopped. It just come to a sudden halt after kicking off so well.
Yeah. No, that's a shame. I always wondered what it would be like, what would have happened if it did continue, how things would have gone, and if I even maybe would pop up and have a match in SBWS.
That would have been amazing.
Yes. Okay, so now you join ICWS.
Yep.
Who do you talk to about possibly joining? Do they approach you guys and say, maybe you guys should do something with us now that you can't do SBWS?
Yeah, basically Dan Zeppelin comes to us, hey guys, we know you guys would be a bit rocky at this point. The move, they knew all about what was going on. And said, come to us and see if you like where we wrestle. And it turns out it was just up the road from us, so we were like, okay, cool.
Yep.
We'll check these guys out. Got the invite from Dan Zeppelin. And in the week leading up, me and Chaos had a bit of a binge drinking session, and we decided, fuck it, let's issue them a challenge. Let's not join them. Let's rebel, and let's cause a stir and challenge them to a match at the next SBWS when we get it going. So we did that. We put up a drunken rant on Facebook challenging them to a match.
Yep.
Basically saying, come to us or we'll come to you. And they never responded. So lo and behold, we rocked up at ICWS in February of 2010.
I see. And what show was that? That would have been...
That was... I forget the name, man.
Is it Warpath or something
yes,
like that?
correct. Sorry. Warpath. I assume it's Warpath.
I'll just check up here on my notes. It's 2010, wasn't it?
Certainly was. February of 2010. I assume it's Warpath.
So were you guys welcomed into the I guess, in quotation marks, locker room with all the guys? I'm sure they were all a bit scared about wrestling you guys.
There were a few guys in there. Even Wicked Nick James was a little intimidated, so to speak, when he came to SBWS to face us. And we got to the ICWS. There were a lot of unsure people there, but there were the reassuring guys like Dan Zeppelin and MC Cruel, who were just telling guys, these guys are fine. They may be big dudes, but they're teddy bears. They're good blokes. Yeah, nothing to be afraid of.
Gotcha. All right, so you guys come in, you make the challenge. I guess this means a feud kicks off now with you guys and Dan Zeppelin, who's representing ICWS. Is that kind of how it went down to begin with?
Yeah, I suppose.
I think, well, the first show you guys were put against each other in a singles match.
Yeah, because we rocked up at Warpath asking for an answer. Out comes Chris Zeppelin, the general manager of the ICWS. He's gone on, I've seen your stuff and I'm not impressed. That sucked. That sentence sucked dick. And he just said, you know what, our boys MC Cruel and Dan Zeppelin will face you guys at the next SPWS event. Cool. Awesome. And then he went on to say, you know what, since you made the trouble to come all the way down, how about you guys have a match against each other?
Okay.
And at this point, we're just like, we just formed an ally. Now we got to fight each other again. Yeah. Like, fuck it, let's do it. So, SPWS rules straight away. Only about a 6-minute long match, just a short match, a bit of a showcase, so to speak.
Yep.
And, laid down the law on the ICWS.
Excellent. So you guys well received with that first match?
Yeah, got a few pops from the minimal crowd that was there.
Mm-hmm.
So we were quite happy with the performance. Got to break a table, which not many actually get the privilege to do in the ICWS, which we found out at that point.
Yeah.
It was only halfway through the match when the referee actually came up to us and said, you know what, guys, use the table. Fuck yeah. So I went for a flip off the base onto Chaos, but the table was set there, and Chaos sort of grabbed me mid-air and slammed me through the table. So.
I've seen that, yeah. Okay, so you guys don't wrestle on Subject to Change, but the following show is Twisted Metal 4. Oh. Now, what's going on? Is there even really a storyline going on here with you and Chaos? Are you guys just fighting each other?
It was more of a background storyline, an unseen story in the backline, because SWS was supposed to happen after Warpath, but then again, situations changed.
Mm-hmm.
SPWS never happened. So the boys in ICWS all said, you know what, guys, how about you just go one more time? Do you guys want to come back, Twisted Metal, our big show, and just top any performance you've ever done and just go all out for us? Yeah, sweet, no worries, we'll do that. And we said, fuck it, let's put the SPWS Championship on the line as well.
Yeah.
So along comes Twisted Metal 4. We've rocked up. Everyone's like, oh, you know, shit, these boys are back. Like, cool. There was some new faces there as well. They were keen to see us, who didn't know us. And the fact that we walked through that curtain into the arena carrying light tubes, I think intimidation factor just went right up there.
Gotcha.
There were a few scared people, but we did get prior approval for light tubes from the house owner himself.
Yep.
And he said, yeah, that's cool, just as long as you do it, you know, up the back area, don't scatter it all over the yard.
Yeah.
So we kept the light tube shots to one spot near the barbecue. And even now, like, it was one of the funnest matches I've ever done. You know, there was some fun spots, there was some hard spots.
Yep.
Just overall getting the crowd on their feet. Just a great reception from everybody there. And yeah, everyone still talks about it these days. It's, you know, 5 years later.
Yeah.
And the boys in WGWA and ICWS all say, oh, remember that Ice and Chaos match at Twisted Metal?
Yeah.
Like,
so you win the SBWS Championship.
that's correct.
After the match, Dan Zeppelin nails you in the back with 2 light tubes.
Yes. I was walking around celebrating. I was quite happy. Then from behind comes Dan Zeppelin, smashes me with a dual light tube across my back, splitting me open, just blood dripping down my arm. And as I'm walking backstage to get cleaned up, he's in the middle of the base. You know, Ice, you and me, next SPWS event. So it's gone from let's have a tag match, SPWS doesn't happen, to Dan Zeppelin challenging me one-on-one. Because I believe they had other plans for Chaos to continue in ICWS now that he's lost the championship. So it was sort of, you know, that fact where someone comes in and destroys you, automatically becomes number one contender. Like
gotcha.
Backyard wrestling logic.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always happens.
Yeah.
This is the same show that I make my ICWS debut.
Ooh.
But it appears, you know, at this time there is supposed to be, you know, a bit more of an SPWS versus ICWS type story going on.
Yes.
But now, it appears you guys are taking a back seat to the feud with Dan Zeppelin, because from here, the Zeppelin's feud is with me and XCW. So, does it bother you at all that you guys are taking a back seat and having to just do other things whilst...
No, not at all.
No?
We'd seen you guys in the XCW before. We knew what you were about. We knew your reputation, and it was quite an honour, to be honest, to sit back to you guys. There was no way we were ever going to be at your level, but to be just involved in the same show as you guys it just felt great. It was an honour. It really was. It
really did feel like as soon as we walked out into that backyard, everyone's game stepped up.
Yes.
Everyone was wrestling better matches, harder matches.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that, I'm not taking credit for that. I'm just saying I think just our presence being there made everyone be like, all right, that's the standard we should, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, we all knew who you guys were. And we'd seen the calibre of matches you guys were putting on your YouTube and things like that. And we just knew you guys were going to come in, and we're like, holy shit, like, I don't want to embarrass ourselves in front of you guys.
Yeah.
Because you were elite compared to us. So, yeah, that definitely made everyone step up their game. We didn't want to be a shadow to you guys. We wanted to be up there with you guys. So that definitely changed everybody's attitude.
Interesting. Well, okay, so from here it looks like a small storyline picks up between you and Chaos against JD Flame and Declan Diamond, now known as Night Stalker Daniel Johnston.
Yes.
It's a short little feud. Any memories of wrestling a younger JD Flame?
The only real memory, I remember the match. The match was good. First tag team match we ever had, me and Chaos. We were stoked to do it. We were happy. But from seeing JD Flame previously, he wasn't the strongest guy ever. He wasn't charismatic. He wasn't really anything. I'll say it. None of his strikes were believable. It looked piss weak. So basically, before the match, myself and Chaos went up to JD and said, "Hey man, like, good luck out there. But if you don't throw solid strikes, we're gonna stiff you." And yeah, in that match, he just absolutely clubbed the shit out of us. So we were easy on him. It was great.
So I guess you could say JD Flame gained your respect because he went out there and
I honestly reckon
didn't
that
go
was
soft. He went hard.
He went hard. He went at it. He gave us what we wanted. We gave him what he wanted. And overall, after the match, everyone in the match was stoked. So yeah, intimidation factor again, but it wasn't intentional.
No, it's just.
But it's something that had to be done. Again, with you guys being around, seeing someone throw like an ugly little strike that looks stupid. Yeah. To me, having to just forearm him over the back, I didn't know if he was going to cry. I didn't know what was going to happen. So the fact that he stood up to the plate, did that, I felt great about it. It was just amazing, and I think that's really not tooting my own horn, but I believe that was the match that really started JD Flame as a real character. Because everything he did in that match was believable, and everything thereon was believable. So I guess kicked him off.
Feel like Justin came into his own.
Yes, for sure. I'm actually quite proud of that, to be honest. Not gonna lie.
So we get to Halloween Hell 2010.
Yep.
And it's the big XCW versus ICWS series on. This is the closest that I think we would ever get to a Western Australian backyard wrestling super show.
Yeah.
Because you had representation from SPWS, XCW, ICWS, Mykonos from Mandurah.
Yeah.
The Mandurah Wrestling Federation.
Everyone was just coming in.
And there are a bunch of others. I think Bundaberg wrestled on the show in a dart match and all that.
Yes, he did.
So, in my opinion, this is one of the most important shows that there's been in WA yarding history.
Yes.
Sitting back and watching this all take place, whilst also competing against Chaos in another SPWS rules match. Memories of that day.
Well, it's funny though. There's a lot of talk lately in recent years of Australians doing super shows against each other, having guys come in from everywhere, when not even realising that under our own noses, we've had supercards. We've had, as you can see, 4 federations in one show, and nobody took notice. Yeah. So it's like
no one realised until later on.
Yeah, when someone asked, when's the super show coming up? Hey, Halloween Hell 2010. 4 wrestling federations in WA were represented on the one card.
Amazing.
And, everyone turns around and goes, holy shit, you're right.
Yeah.
You're fucking right.
Yeah.
So sitting there that day, so many new faces. It's just incredible to watch different styles as well, different levels that guys were wrestling at. The Mandurah guys come in and put on a great show. Didn't know what to expect from them, but you just knew from that day that everyone was going to bond in the ICWS because there was lots of jokes flying around the locker room. Everyone was having a good time, and not one person shied away from one another, and everyone got involved, and it was just incredible.
Yeah.
Taking on Chaos again, more light tubes and getting the guys scared.
Yeah.
But, that was just us. We were roughneck.
So you see Diffuser.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time you've seen him perform.
Yes.
What did you think? Because there's always been a lot of comparisons between the two of you.
Yeah, I know. I seen him. I was like, big dude, mask, you know. He wrestles with his mask, as opposed to me. I take my mask off after my entrance. Yeah, all his moves were just above mine by far. And seeing his choke slam was incredible. You know, I was, I do that move, and just speechless really, as I am now. Like, it was just incredible to watch. But I think it's great. He's got a left hand choke slam, and I got a right hand choke slam, and yeah.
Well, it was a great day and a great show.
It really was.
So from there we go to another important match. Seasons Beatings 2010. Dan Zeppelin against Dark Ice in a hardcore match to unify the SPWS and ICWS Championship, and with SPWS on the line.
The show beforehand was Affliction, and myself and Dan Zeppelin had a one-on-one contest that day. No titles, just pride more than anything on the line.
Yeah.
And Dan Zeppelin, he come away with a clean victory over me, and in kayfabe, I didn't like that. I really hated that. So I've gone out and I've put up a promo on YouTube, telling Dan Zeppelin, stick it up your ass. I am better than you, and I will prove it, and I will put SPWS in the line, just to make it that much sweeter.
Yeah.
He accepted the challenge. The match was made. It was SPWS rules, because Dan Zeppelin was ranting that he was more hardcore than myself.
Yep.
Fuck that. Went out there. Seasons Beatings 2010. We didn't hold back at all. I had Chaos by my side during the match. Dan Zeppelin had nobody, so it was kind of unfair at some points, or it was 2-on-1.
Yep.
That was in my favour, luckily. Some hardcore spots, some shit I never thought I'd ever do in the yard happened that day.
And whose idea is it to get in the car?
That was my idea. The idea was to go to the park, but it was my idea to jump in my car. So basically threw the referee in, threw the cameraman in, strapped Dan Zeppelin in the front seat, or Chaos was pretty much locked him in a camel clutch the whole drive. So Dan Zeppelin was just in struggle town at this point. When we got to the park, battled up to a hill, and Dan Zeppelin threw me down this big ass hill, which pretty much knocked me loopy for the rest of the time at the park. We're doing all these cool spots. Dan Zeppelin flies off a swing into a hurricanrana. That was epic, and myself and Chaos ended up getting the upper hand again, throwing him back in the car, same lock hold, back into the arena where Chaos was taken out, and then Dan Zeppelin got me down and pulled out this bloody baseball bat laced in thumbtacks and hit me 3 times over the back, which was one of the most painful things I've ever been through.
Yeah. Then
hit me with the sliced bread, which is his finishing move.
Yeah.
And, at this point, it's just like, oh, fuck. He picks me up. He picks me up and drags me to my car, where the boot was open, throws me into the boot of my own car, slams the lid and jumps on top, and the referee counts 3.
Ridiculous.
Counts 3. And if you look at the footage, when he threw me into that boot, my shoulder was up. The whole time.
Oh, unbelievable.
And then closed the boot, but the referee still counted.
Oh,
that's
unbelievable.
ICWS favoritism right there.
But still, a good match and a very interesting element added with going to the park and all that. Yes. Made it for a one-of-a-kind kind of match.
Yes, that's right. And Dan Zeppelin, of course, claiming SPWS, the Federation, and the title at this point, because me and Chaos knew we were ICWS guys now.
Yeah.
And SPWS was never going to happen again. Yeah. So that was the best way to shut down the Federation.
Well, good. Okay, so I do remember at the time a few things swirling around.
Yep.
I think, during 2011, when we got to 2011, there was a bit of heat between you and one Declan Diamond. Daniel Johnston and you didn't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. Do you remember that? What the deal was between you two?
I vaguely remember it. I guess it was just a matter of opinion on a few things that we didn't agree on. Which basically led me to real life heat with Daniel Johnston, and I just didn't want to be around him, and it was one point where he didn't even want us in the Federation. But me, being me, standing up and saying, "You're going to make me leave?" When you got all the other ICWS guys sitting there going, "Nah, he's staying." He had no choice but to sit back and let me do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But, eventually things calmed down, and funnily enough, these days, he's one of the most regular people I hang out with.
Yeah. It's
like, I don't exactly remember everything from back then, but, to be honest, I don't give a shit what happened back then. Yep. Now is now.
Yeah.
And we're on good terms with each other now, so, yeah.
Good. So 2011 rolls on. The feud with Dan Zeppelin is over.
Yep.
And from what I gather, you go on a little bit of a losing streak.
Yeah.
Just looking up the results here. Just going over the results here. You lose a bunch of matches. You lose to
Three Dog.
You lose to Mykonos by DQ.
Yep.
You lose to Mykonos and with Three Dog in a triple threat match.
Yep.
You lose to Chaos in an I Quit match.
Yep. Twisted Metal 5.
Twisted Metal 5. I mean, yeah, and you lost to Three Dog. So there's quite a lot of losses in a row there.
Yeah.
Is there a reason to all of this?
Not really. No, well,
are you
yes,
frustrated
no.
about it?
No, because, Mykonos needed to get over as a character.
Yeah.
And, what better way than to put the big dudes down? And, I was like, iffy about it because I didn't know who he was really still at this point.
Yeah.
I was alright, I'll go out there, we'll do our thing. I was like, but I'm losing by DQ. And I got the approval for that, so I was like, okay, cool. But he still had a bit of a rivalry himself with Three Dog.
Yeah.
So
somehow you'd been interjected into that feud.
Yes. Three Dog attacked Mykonos after I got disqualified. And that led to me wanting another rematch against Mykonos. But at the same time, Three Dog wanted Mykonos. Mykonos wanted Three Dog.
Yeah. So
we booked a triple threat match at that show.
Gotcha.
Which, I just completely fucked over.
So
come ICWS, Twisted Metal 5, we decided that it should be a thing where Ice and Chaos take each other on at Twisted Metal in some sort of a death match.
Yeah.
So, because everyone loved the Twisted Metal 4 match. So, okay, we haven't faced each other in, 8 months. Let's do it.
Yep.
I Quit match. And it turned out to be actually the number one contendership to the title.
Yeah.
Who Dan Zeppelin was champion at this point. I quit in that match. As you can see on the footage on YouTube, I said there was no one better than to take on Dan Zeppelin next in Chaos. I said, I quit.
Yeah.
And I think I gained a lot of respect from Chaos. Not, obviously it was planned.
Yeah.
But the fact that I went through with it and the way I said it, got much more love from Chaos and the boys to say, to man up and say, I'm happy to quit this match.
Yeah.
To put Chaos forward. I'm happy to do that.
Okay, so soon after this, Chaos becomes the hardcore champion.
Yes.
And this becomes a bit of a running theme. Chaos winning a championship.
Yep.
Before you've won that championship.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Chaos is being favoured more than you by?
No, not really, because when you look back at it, Chaos won the SPWS championship at SPWS Crash Course, and then dropped it to me the second time we faced each other.
Yeah.
at Twisted Metal, so he didn't have much of a run really with the SBWS Championship.
Yeah.
And I got to hold on to that all the way until December.
Yeah.
Like, I had a 10-month run with that belt.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, guys, give Chaos a belt.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happens.
Gotcha.
There was absolutely no favoritism at all.
Okay, gotcha. So he wins the Hardcore Championship, but I think there was a show where Chaos couldn't make the event.
Chaos was unavailable at the time. So Chris Zeppelin took it into his own hands to come out and just automatically name Three Dog the champion.
The new Hardcore Champion.
Just out of nowhere. So I was like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
So I made my way out. Chaos can't be here. You can't name Three Dog the champion. That's bullshit. As a representative, of SPWS, even though it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Still made my presence. I said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to defend the title on Chaos's behalf.
Yeah.
And me and Three Dog had actually had an encounter previous to that, a one-on-one encounter.
So kind of intertwined.
Three Dog actually beat me in 4 minutes. Cleanly. And he's just gone on and said, you know what, I've beaten you once, I'll beat you again.
Yeah.
Let's do this. So we went out there and it was a physical match, man. It was violent, We destroyed the metal slide in this match, and just throwing each other around, and I came out on top at the end of the day, winning the championship.
I said we're Hardcore Champion now, co-champion with Chaos.
Yeah, co-champion. That's what I said. I said, I can't call myself the champion since Chaos never lost it. I said, so I'm going to be co-champion with Chaos. So, I won that privilege.
Yeah.
He already had that privilege. I said, let's be co-champions.
Yeah.
Basically a fuck you to ICWS, a fuck you to Chris Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take that away from Chaos, and you're not going to take away from me either.
Yeah. So how does it feel to be Hardcore Champion? Are you happy?
Yeah, I mean, hardcore was my element.
Yes.
So to be able to hold that title and know that it was mine, it was a great feeling. I knew my work, my wrestling style had paid off at this point.
Yeah. So now you guys take it in turns, kind of defending the championship. During this time, we see a whole bunch of newcomers coming into the ICWS. So just get a little bit of thoughts on all these different people coming in. We already mentioned about Three Dog and Mykonos, but we had Tim Justice, Brian Lowe, they're known as Low Rider, Ryan Tate,
the cousins,
and Alex Stone.
Yes.
So quite the influx of new guys coming in. Your thoughts on those guys?
Well, Tim and Lowe came in. We were told they were cousins, and they were keen to wrestle.
Yeah.
We didn't know who they were, what they looked like. So when this one kid walks in, he's got long, straight blonde hair. Looks like an absolutely dopey little bitch. It was a little bit laughable, but he had a match, and the laughing stopped after that. He showed us that he was a real deal, and he could hang with us, and that was sick.
That's Low Rider.
That was Low Rider. And then Tim Justice walks in. Hi guys, how you doing? Fucking the most annoying little high-pitched voice. He was 14 or something. And he had the voice.
He was just a little kid.
Of a 10-year-old.
He was still a little kid.
He was still a boy. But he showed us too that he was fearless, and he could go out there, jump off the ladder. He could, get thrown around and throw back if he could.
Yeah.
And gained instant respect from everybody. Then you got guys. You had Ryan Tate as well. I didn't think much of Ryan Tate at this point. He was small. He was a little bit weird. He would never make eye contact when he would talk to you or anything like that. So yeah, it was different. But yes, again, seeing him wrestle was just great.
Yeah, he showed that he could do it too.
Yeah, and Alex Stone,
he's out of those four, I mean, I always saw Alex in a class of his own. He was so natural.
Yeah, me and Cass actually knew Alex before he came in. We were high school mates as well.
Ah.
We were the ones that got him into it, so
Yeah.
yeah, quite exciting to see that.
Yeah, well, it's pretty cool. I mean, Alex Stone, you know, his time in backyard wrestling speaks for itself, and it was just good to have him there, and doing his best, and he entertained the shit out of all of us. All right, so 2011's moving along quite nicely. We move on into 2012, and this feud between... Well, is it even happening yet? Hang on. Let me look at my... Alright, we have In Your Yard, you defeat Mykonos. You go on and lose to Mike Delcano. You lose to Mykonos. You lose to Knuckles. Alright. There's a bunch of losses in there, but this is gearing up for this feud between myself and you guys. But let's talk about Twisted Metal 6.
Yep.
You and Knuckles. What a match. I was astounded to see Knuckles put on such a great match with you.
Yeah, it was great,
Did you guys plan much?
We pretty much planned the finish and a couple of spots in the middle. And it was just a pleasure wrestling Knuckles, his roughneck style, his martial arts fighting style, against my style as well.
He's very unorthodox.
Yes, definitely. And yeah, the match just went so smoothly. It was just one of the better matches to have. And playing the finish, I got up, was going to moonsault off the top of the ladder.
Yeah.
But Knuckles climbed up on the other side and he choked me out on the ladder.
Yeah.
And as I fell to the canvas, he plonked himself on top of that ladder and hit his first ever splash.
Yeah.
The first time he'd ever jumped off anything to claim the victory against me. But being choked out, there was no way I was going to kick out as I didn't know what was going on.
Yep.
But yeah, overall, that was one of my favourite matches, and it's an absolute pleasure to put someone like the first ever ICWS champion.
Yes.
Put him over. It was great.
Yeah. So later that show, Chaos defeats me to retain the Hardcore Championship thanks to a double choke slam from you two, starting your feud with yours truly.
Yep.
Okay, so your thoughts on the beginning of this feud, the ensuing matches that go down, what you liked, what you didn't like, and of course the end of the feud where I eventually took the Hardcore Championship.
Yeah. Again, even at this point, you guys, I still felt were elite. So to be told that we were going to have a feud with Taser,
yes.
was incredible.
Yep.
And we were like, sweet. We'll try to do the best we can against someone like yourself, but you really helped us through the end spot to that first match against...
Oh, yeah, I've mapped that one out to the T.
About 3 minutes worth of spots that we just nailed perfectly.
Yeah, everything was just... The timing, I'll put a link to it on the video. The timing of everything was just so spot on, and everyone was going nuts because we just made it look natural. It didn't look like it was all, Yeah,
it didn't look planned. Well, could say that, but it wasn't messy, and that was the best part.
That was the best part. Yeah, and I just felt, maybe you guys felt you needed to step up your game to wrestle me, but I felt like I needed to step up my game because I'd never really proved myself as a hardcore wrestler.
Yeah.
So knowing I had to wrestle you and Chaos, I was like, well, now I've got to really step it up and get into a completely different zone than I usually do. I'm usually pretty laid back when I wrestle, but when I wrestle you guys, I was like mental. I was like, and I think I hurt Chaos on a few occasions.
Yeah, wrecked him. Fuck's sake.
But yeah, it was a great feud. I had awesome fun with that one. And
as did we.
Yes. So we move on now. Radical Movement and SPWS collide finally. We've got Radical Movement, JD Flame, Mykonos, Mike Delcano running roughshod over the whole federation. Finally, SPWS decide to step up and challenge them. What are your thoughts on the whole Radical Movement thing?
Yeah, well, at this point, SPWS was pretty much solidified as a unit, as a stable rather than a federation.
Yep.
So we kept the name to our stable, our tag team.
Yep.
And yeah, we were sick and tired of the Radical Movement thinking they're hot shit, thinking they're the hottest shit in ICWS. So we knew we had to come up to the plate because there was no one else even, having a bark at them. So we come up, we said, you know what, fuck yous. We're going to be the ones to destroy you. Like, we hate your gimmick. We hate you. Like, fuck off. Fuck off or we'll fuck you off. And that's exactly what we did.
You guys win the tag team championship. What do you think of the ICWS tag team title?
It's cool.
It's all right. I think it could have been handled a bit better, but, I think that a lot of things were out of their control.
Yeah.
They wanted to do a tournament to crown the first tag team champions, and they didn't really get to do that tournament.
No, they didn't.
Teams kept on dropping out, but you guys get to become the tag team champions.
Yeah, stoked about that. Yeah. Just another championship of the repertoire. Happy to be the champion, happy to represent ICWS once again. And yeah, everyone was digging it as far as I knew, so I was quite proud of that.
Yep. So now Brian Lowe, formerly known as Lowrider, is starting to rise through the ranks, and now he's starting to prove himself as a hardcore wrestler. Day of Destiny, August 26, 2012, you wrestle Brian Lowe in an SPWS rules match. Chaos is the special guest referee. So, your thoughts on Lowe and how much he'd improved as a wrestler. And
yeah, I knew Lowe had improved, and I was actually quite excited to have this match because he came up to me beforehand to plan spots with me, and he had all this cool shit planned, and I knew that he was so keen on it, and I knew it would be a great flowing match, a fun match. I think that day the general manager had actually been out. There was no one actually controlling the ICWS, so myself and Chaos took it upon ourselves to run the show.
Yeah.
Since there was no other authority there, and no one was going to tell us no. So I said before the match, Chaos, since we're in charge, you're the referee. Just instantly screwing over any chance Brian Lowe ever had of winning.
Yeah. So, whose idea is it around this time to have Dan Zeppelin join SPWS?
It was a collective thing. Myself, Chaos, and Dan had always hung out, became good mates with each other, so many common interests, and it was just... It had to happen, really. Dan Zeppelin's, his look that he had through his whole career as Voltage or anyone, it suited the look of SPWS. And yeah, once that happened, it was just game on. We knew he was there, and he fitted in very well.
And thoughts on Hayley Hell and her short stint?
Who?
Well,
basically, yeah, my shit in the toilet that day was more pleasurable than having her hanging around. I'd rather the bad smell of a dirty KFC chicken shit the next morning be hanging around me than her. Bitch.
Do you really feel that way? You don't like her?
I never liked her. Sorry, Dan, but I never liked her. She was, weird. Weird in a shit way.
Well, there's weird in a good way like Chaos, and then there's weird in a shit way.
Like Hayley Hell.
I didn't say it.
Fucking bitch.
I didn't say it, so... Okay, so from here, we finish out 2012 with Seasons Beatings. It doesn't appear you're on the card.
No.
Okay, so we finish out 2012. And I don't have the results for 2013, but as we know, 2013
There was no 2013.
Yeah, there was.
2013 had 0 ICWS events.
There was 2.
There was 0.
No, we had In Your Yard.
Did we?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Really?
It was either January or February. The 2 In Your Yard tapings on the same day, I believe. There was a certain moment took place at the second taping between Kilowatt Chaos and Mykonos. Chaos wins the ICWS Heavyweight Championship.
Ooh.
Do you remember this?
Nah.
You don't remember it all? You don't remember Chaos winning the championship?
I remember winning the championship, but I didn't think that was until 2014.
No, I'm positive that because Mykonos didn't come back after 2013.
I'm pretty confident it was 2014. I do have every recap on my computer, and I do not have a 2013 folder. Because we had...
he won it In Your Yard, the tapings.
Oh right.
It never made it to the internet, unfortunately.
Oh shit. Well, yeah, that's where I'm getting confused then.
The actual singles match got popped up, but the events were never released.
Okay. Well, that's where I'm getting lost.
Yes.
I do remember them. I didn't know what event it was, but I do remember it, and that was a proud moment for myself. You know, my brother had made it.
What a journey.
Yeah. From these guys who didn't know wrestling, who just wanted to, weapon shots after weapon shots, to, having guys like MC Cruel and Daniel Johnston actually teaching us moves and helping us train.
Yeah.
Excelled us, and it put Chaos at the top and they realised, these guys could be champions, and they put the belt on Chaos. And what a moment.
You must have been real proud to see Chaos ascend to the top. It's almost like you guys are brothers after all that time being together in a team, battling each other here and there. So great journey to the end there for Chaos. And then obviously ICWS have some problems.
Yeah.
It starts winding down a bit. What are your thoughts on how things are going in ICWS?
We transitioned to WTWA at this point.
Yes.
So once we moved over there, ICWS never really happened because the boys were all happy to wrestle once a month. But when WTWA came in, that was our once a month.
Yeah.
So that put a bit extra pressure on everyone to do fortnightly shows.
Yeah.
But everyone was just keen to be teenagers at this point.
Yeah. And
just do the once a month thing. So I think the fact that there was a wrestling ring as opposed to a base really took over, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sucks a bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was bound to happen. Chris Zeppelin lost his passion for the whole backyard thing.
He did. So yeah, we all kicked him out at Halloween Hell 2012.
That was excellent.
See you later.
So we finally get a show, Aussie Anarchy 2014.
Yes.
Which was supposed to feature Rusty on the card.
It was.
So on this show, I believe you wrestled Brian Lowe?
I did.
Must have been stoked at least to have ICWS back, even if it was just a brief cup of coffee, as they say.
Yeah, the ICWS returns. I opened the show with Brian Lowe, and I could just tell, I had fun in that match. I did things out of kayfabe even. There were a few comical things in there, like flashing the boobs and fucking all this stuff. The reception from that match was best reception I've ever had.
Yeah.
In any match, including WCWA at this point.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be a whole fun event, and sure enough it was.
Yeah, it was... You two had some good battles, both in WCWA and ICWS, but we'll talk about the WCWA stuff with Brian Lowe on part 2 when we end up doing it.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just skip forward now. 2015, the new ICWS. We finally decide, okay, DJ, let's get this sorted. Let's do it. We want to do it.
Yep.
So from the get-go, you're helping DJ bring the bass over to his place?
Yep. In my ute, he's in his old boy's ute, and we're transporting the bass. That was step one. Tick that off the list. I was hanging out with DJ a lot at this point. We even got Dan Zeppelin to come over and Rob Zeppelin to show us just how to set the bass up itself.
Yep.
And when everything just all came together, and we got to have our first show, Thug Life.
Thug Life. No, I can't believe it's back. It's just awesome to have it back. So Thug Life, you wrestle in what was. I think you wrestled at the following show, didn't you?
Yes.
You wrestled in what was going to be your last match.
Yep.
In ICWS, you wrestled Dan Zeppelin once again. You two, with another cracker of a match. Must have been proud.
I was. No weapons, just straight up wrestling. Wasn't sure how I was going to do again on the bass. But after taking that first bump, I knew I was comfortable. And Dan knew he was comfortable wrestling me.
Yep.
And yeah, we just put on a hell of a match. We were just so stoked. Threw in a few moves that I'd never done before, which got all the marks in the crowd to go fucking crazy.
And of course, the usual tease of the Joker driver.
Yeah, like that. That's just a thing now.
Yeah.
Hit it once and then fucked it up the second time, and then it was just a tease from there.
Yeah. Yeah, probably in hindsight, maybe not. We should have just left it as that one perfect Joker driver you delivered.
Yes.
All those years ago. So you are revealed to be the new general manager of ICWS.
Yes.
Your thoughts on this idea?
No, it was good for me because I'd had planned time off from actually wrestling itself. So to be able to still be involved with ICWS and not have to, be physical about it, I was stoked. I was happy to have that opportunity. Chris Zeppelin obviously not around, and to be put in the position of that Chris Zeppelin was once in, it was amazing.
Yeah, that's quite some shoes to fill there. He did the general manager thing for like 7 years or something like that. Years.
Yeah.
Long time. Oof. So you got big shoes to fill there. You enjoying it?
I am somewhat enjoying it. There are probably a few things that I would tweak myself.
Well, what better place to air it than here, Ice?
Ah, come on.
Yeah, mate.
Well, I just don't think my character is as badass as it should be. I feel, I've been put out to everyone as this character who's going to be Stone Cold-esque to the audience, and I have not lived up to that at all. I don't think my general manager character actually has a direction. I do feel that now that I'm in this position, I've been given this role, told I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Kind of feels like I've been shat on, being put in this position, because Dark Ice can't be Dark Ice as the general manager. He's not going to run wild like I wanted to, like I was told I was going to. And
Were you just going to be causing havoc?
Yeah, that was the plan, but I feel like now that it's happened, the mastermind has decided, no, I can't have that. It's not going to work with anything. There's just I don't think there's enough planning in events and storylines at this point. So I don't think there's really any direction for anybody, to be honest.
Yep.
I just feel like it's, hey, here's a card that I put together because, and there's no end to that sentence. It's just stops at because.
Yeah.
Just a bit disappointed, really.
But you've I think things are going to be improving from here on. I think DJ's heard the concerns from all those involved.
Yes, there has been improvement. Daniel has been on Facebook with everybody. Has pretty much told everybody what kind of a direction he wants them in.
With his fucking dossiers.
With his dossiers.
Never even heard that word used before.
Bloody dossiers. I got my dossier and I was just like, he told me I've got a problem with like everybody on the roster, and including like Dan Zeppelin and Chaos. And I turned to him, I said, hey, why do I have an issue with Dan Zeppelin and Chaos if the last ICWS show at the Z Arena actually had SPWS as a unit together?
That's one thing I wanted to actually talk about. Does it not annoy you at all that suddenly the Dan Zeppelin and SPWS thing's forgotten about, and
yeah,
it was just the idea was just kind of dropped? I mean, you and Chaos are still aligned.
Well, really, the whole idea of the old ICWS was dropped. There was nothing really continuing from where we left off. Obviously, Chaos still the champion.
Yeah.
And your title shot you finally earned happened. But that's all that really took off. AAW. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's a mistake to just ignore?
I do. Including the hardcore title. Apparently everyone's forgotten about it. It just doesn't exist anymore. Now we have this junior heavyweight title in its place. Mm-hmm. We've got no tag team champions because Rockstar Alex Stone, the tag team champions, hasn't come to ICWS because he has music commitments and all that, which has gone really well for him.
Yep.
So it really is sort of a fresh start for the mid-carders and undercarders.
Yeah.
As for the main event, I feel the main event's the only story that's happening. The only one that's really getting praise, and I fucking hate it. I do.
So, now it looks like, there's going to be something moving forward. There's going to be something with me in your future and with Chaos as well. I'm really excited to actually, at least with that, to have this feud again and do it a completely different way than before.
Yeah.
And, I just look forward to it. I think it's going to produce some good matches, and who knows, hopefully one day down the line when you're ready, I've got another round in me to go against you out there on that base.
Yep.
And
no, I got plenty of rounds for everyone. I'm only 23,
yeah.
I'm in my prime. I will be when I return.
Yep.
Still in my best years.
Yep.
So I've got so much more to offer everybody, and hopefully a lot more to receive from everybody.
Yep. All right, well, I guess we'll end it there. You'd run in ICWS, speaks for itself. Everyone look back in those recaps. You see the slow but sure progression and improvement in Ice's wrestling ability, and just becoming a bigger and bigger part of ICWS, starting off as somewhat as an outsider, and now you're the general manager.
Yeah.
So it's quite the transition after 5 years.
Yeah.
Which is, some people, you don't realise how long 5 years really is. I mean, in backyard wrestling, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And so anyway, thank you very much, Ice.
No worries.
Really enjoyed it, and hope you all out there enjoyed my first part of this interview with Dark Ice. I will get him back another day to interview him, and it's going to be a long one. It'll be about WZWA and a whole lot of other topics. We'll probably discuss a little bit of XCW, the shows that you witnessed during XCW's final days.
Yep,
so thank you very much, Ice. Any more parting words?
Those who have stuck through this far in the podcast, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Hopefully learned a bit more about me, even if you didn't want to. Hopefully, you can go out there and go on YouTube, follow me, have a look at what I've done, just understand the story a little more. Going to definitely go a little more in depth in part 2. There's so much more I haven't talked about.
Yep.
Such as my current broken ankle.
Yep.
My past psoriasis injury. Not injury, but condition that put me out.
Yep. That'll be a big part of the next podcast.
That'd be quite emotional, actually.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, Ice. Hope you all enjoyed it, guys, and we'll catch up with you next time on the GBYWN Australia Podcast. I'm Aston Crude, alongside Dark Ice. See you next time.